Jaya Radha Madhava. Give me another mridanga. Kunja Bihari. Oh god, they're all horrible. I don't know who's. Okay, I guess I can do it. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtodhara Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtodhara Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Thakur Shri Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki. Jagannath Puri Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Jamuna Mai Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Tulasi Devi Ki. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki. Taking over the world with Sri Prabhupada's transcendental book distribution Ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine. I have the book. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text number 11. Shuta Uvacha Iti Upamantritaha Ragnyam Guna Anukathane Harehe Rishikesham Anusmritya Prativaktum Prashakrame Sutavacha ityupamantrito rajñam Gunanukhatane Harehe Rishikesham Manusmritya Prativaktum Prashakrame Sutavacha ityupamantrito rajñam Gunanukhatane Harehe Rishikesham Manusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame Sutavacha ityupamantrito rajñam Gunanukhatane Harehe Rishikesham Manusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame Sutavacha ityupamantrito rajñam Gunanukhatane Harehe Rishikesham Manusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame. Please repeat. Katane Hare Rishikesham Manusmritya Prachakrame. You should wait for more initiated devotees to chant. Sutta Vacha Mantrito Ragya Gunanu Katane Harehe Ishikesham Manusmritya Prativaktum Pratakrame Sutta Vacha Ityupamantrito Ragya Gunanu Katane Harehe Rishikesham Manusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame. Sutta Vacha Ityupamantrito Ragya Gunanu Katane Harehe Rishikesham Manusmritya Prativaktum Prachakrame. Matijis. Sutta Vacha Sutta Vacha. Sutta Goswami said, Iti thus Upamantritaha, being requested, Ragyam, by the king, Guna Anukathane, in describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, Harehe, of the personality of Godhead, Rishikesham, the master of the senses, Anusmritya, properly remembering, Prativaktum, just to reply, Prachakrame, executed the preliminaries. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sutta Goswami said, when Shukadeva Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly, he spoke thus. This is amazing. Prabhupada is really amazing. The devotees of the Lord, while delivering speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think that they can do anything independently. They think that they can speak only what they are induced to speak by the Supreme Lord, the Master of the senses. The senses of the individual being are not his own. The devotee knows that such senses belong to the Supreme Lord and that they can be properly used when they are employed for the service of the Lord. The senses are instruments and the elements are ingredients. It's amazing. All endowed by the Lord. Therefore, whatever an individual can do, speak, see, etc., is under the direction of the Lord only. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text number 15, the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text number 15, confirms this. Sarvasya chaham hriti samnivishto matta smritir gnanam apohanam cha. No one is free to act freely and independently, and as such, one should always seek the permission of the Lord to act or eat or speak, and by the blessings of the Lord, everything done by a devotee is beyond the principles of the four defects typical of the conditioned soul. This itself is like a Mangalacharan. Right? Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utafpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Tahagan Lalita Shri Vishakanvatamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namine Nijaguru Harivanya Krishna Chitto Vichinto Parihita Pitrige Hadyanda Sangsara Kupaha Prabhu Bhajana Sukabdo Majjayan Samsra Vishwa Bhuvijayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Chivakshasi Yasyaste Hridaye Samvitam Nrsimhamaham Bhaje Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karti Vachalam Pangam Langaite Girimyat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Yasudeve Parabhaktir Yata Deve Tata Guru Tasyaite Katita Hyartha Prakashante Mahatmanaha. So this verse is Sutta Goswami describing how Shukadeva Goswami was when he was requested by the king to describe the creative potency of the Supreme Lord. The next set of verses we'll see over here are the prayers that Srila Shukadeva Goswami offers. And I, by any means, do not want to steal the thunder from any of the devotees who are going to be speaking here. But, in the next few verses, actually, they're full of really fantastic prayers. And one of them is a really famous one. Yad kirtanam, yad smaranam, yad ikshanam, yad vandanam, yad shravanam, yad arhanam. You know this one, right? Lokasya sadhyo vidunoti kalmasam tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. That let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of all the sins of the performers. That we see over here that that Sutta Goswami is saying how the Shukadeva Goswami himself is going to start offering prayers to the Supreme Lord and to his spiritual master and all of them in order to be able to be empowered to speak. That's why Prabhupada also had us recite the Mangalachara. And we can also see, I think, I might as well just, do this. Yeah, just swap. that even when Suta Goswami is questioned by the sages of Naimisharanya, he first tells, when he hears all their questions, he tells, Munaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbir loka mangalam yatkrita krishna samprashno yen atma suprasiditi. Then, my dear sages, you're asking these questions, and they're really amazing questions. And why are they, why does he say that they're amazing? He says that they're amazing because, your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. And we can also see how Suta Goswami, before he starts speaking, he himself offers a few prayers to Shukadev Goswami and the Supreme Lord. We see this, iti samprashna vyasa uvacha iti samprashna samrishno vipranam ro maharshanahi pratipuja vachastesham pravaktum upachakrame. I really like this, especially pratipuja. After thanking them, he says, Ugra Shrava, the son, Suta Goswami, the son of Roma Harshana. So, this is a really interesting point. Why do you think one of Suta Goswami's name is Ugra Shrava? Why do you think that's one of his name? The literal translation, Ugra means intense, one who intensely likes to hear. So Suta Goswami is Ugra Shrava because he's someone who intensely liked to hear to the bona fide message of the absolute truth. So that's why he's known as Ugra Shrava, son of Roma Harshana. Being fully satisfied by the questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and attempted to reply as follows. And now we'll see some of the prayers that Suta Goswami himself offers. He offers to get the permission of the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Vyasadeva and the goddess of learning and all of them in order to be able to speak this message of the absolute truth. He says, Suta uvacha yam pravrajantam anupetam apete krityam dvaipayano virha kataru ajahava putreti tan mayataya taravobhine dustam sarva bhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. He says here that Srila Suta Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances under the great sage Shukadev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. This is a really amazing point. That he is praying to his spiritual master because he is confident that his spiritual master, can enter into the hearts of all living entities. That even we'll see that some of the prayers that Shukadev Goswami makes, he prays that the Supreme Lord personally appear in every syllable of the words that he speaks. And when he appears in the words of every syllable that he speaks, these words can enter the hearts of all living entities. It's a really amazing prayer. We can think about it. He's saying, I want to offer my respectful obeisance to the great sage Shukadev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. This is a really amazing thing. One may not be able to understand. And he goes on to say, when he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyas, leaving home without undergoing the reformation by the sacred thread ceremonies, or the ceremonies observed by the higher caste, his father Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, "O my son!" Indeed, only the trees which are absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the bereaved father. And then the next verse is Yaswanu bhavam akilashati saramekam adhyatma deepam atitir shatam tamondam samsarinam karunayaha purana guhyam tam vyasa sunam upayam gurum muninam. Upayami gurum muninam. That this is so amazing, It's Yaswanu bhavam akilashati saramekam. If you just look at the Sanskrit of the first part of the first line, it's so beautiful. He's saying, Yaswanu bhavam. Swa means self. Anubhava means experience. Yaswanu bhavam. Akila means of all. Shruti means of all the Vedic literatures. Saram means essence, ekam. So, Srila Shukadev Goswami had swa anubhava. He had personally experienced the nectar of Akila Shruti Saram. He had the personal experience of tasting the Shruti Saram, the nectar of all Vedic literatures. Adhyatma Deepam, and then Adhyatma Deepam Atititir Shatam Tamondam. That with this knowledge of light, with this light of knowledge, he can remove the greatest darkness of ignorance. And samsari nam karunayaha purana guhyam. That Look, he was so compassionate unto all the living entities who are suffering in samsara, unto all the living entities who are stuck in this material world. He was so compassionate to them that he spoke the secrets of all the Puranas, Purana Guhyam. Tam Vyasa Sunamupayami Gurum Muninam. So we'll see this over here. Prabhupada gives such an amazing translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his compassion, I guess it's too cold to open the window or something. The son of Vyasadeva, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by his experience. This is such an amazing verse. I mean, that Shukadeva Goswami personally assimilated all the ecstatic Vedic knowledge that he's received from his spiritual master. And now, out of feeling compassion for all the living entities of this world, he has spoken this really beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam in order for it to deliver all the living entities of this day and age. So, what we're hearing is not ordinary. We are hearing the disciples' glorification of the spiritual master, who is going to start speaking again, in the next series of verses. Sudha Goswami just interjects there. And he is doing the same thing that his spiritual master did. That, Sudha Goswami, spiritual master, and Shukadeva Goswami. Why is he known as the spiritual master of Shukadeva Goswami? Of Sudha Goswami? Because, he heard the Bhagavatam from him. And, just following the footsteps of his spiritual master, we see over here, Sudha Goswami is also offering the prayers. That I'm looking for a particular part. Okay, there you go. Okay, yeah. And okay, so Shukadev Goswami Srila Shukadev Goswami was a thoroughly realized master on the Vedanta Sutra, and consequently, he also personally realized the commentary Srimad Bhagavatam. And just to show his boundless mercy upon bewildered materialistic men who want to cross completely over nations, he recited for the first time this confidential knowledge. That's amazing. That Shukadev Goswami, for the first time, this most confidential knowledge was recited for the first time. Why? Out of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls like us. So these are the prayers that the devotees offer. These are the prayers that the devotees offer in order for us to actually understand where we are in our spiritual life and how we actually have to go past this. Srila Vyasadeva also instructed the Bhagavatam to his own son, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who was already at the liberated stage of transcendence. Srila Shukadeva Goswami realized it personally and then explained it. You see? Then there's so much more that can be said. But we see this, that these are the kind of prayers that even Sutta Goswami offers. And of course, this is a really famous one. Everyone should know this. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Then let me offer, before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest. We're on a means of conquest. We want to conquer our mind. We want to conquer our material desires. We want to conquer falling asleep in Bhagavatam class. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So you see that even Sutta Goswami also offers these prayers. Why? Because this is just the bona fide method of doing so. Because a person has to understand, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi, Nabhavet Grahyam Indriyehi. Sorry, Sevan Mukhehi Jiva, the Swayameva Sprati. That's there. That verse is also there. But I'm thinking of Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Sarvopadi Vinir Muktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. That all the upadhis that we have, upadhis means we have so many different conditionings. We have conditionings of thinking we're this body, we're the conditioning of thinking that, we are white, we're black, we're American, we're Indian, we may, we are this is how old our body is, etc., etc. We may have such different conditionings of thinking that I have all these different designations. I have this, that, and the other thing. These are all my designations. But Sarva upadi vinirmuktam, that all the upadis which are there, all the conditionings which are there, all the so-called labels that we keep upon ourselves from all the different experiences that we create due to our own false ego and our material desires which are there, all of that, sarva upadi vinirmuktam, a living entity can get completely freed up from this kind of misunderstanding and misconceptions or misidentifications. All these upadhis that we have are all simply misidentifications of who we actually are. Who we actually are and who we are conditioned to think we actually are two completely different things until and unless we take up fully to the process of Krishna consciousness. When we fully take up to the process of Krishna consciousness, then we can remove our false identification from a real identification and then really realize how we can engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we don't do such a thing, then we will simply suffer in this material world. So, Sarvopadir Vinir Muktam, that we can get freed up from these Tatparatvena Nirmalam, that we can also give up, we can also come in touch with Nirmala. Nirmala means without faults. Tatparatvena Nirmalam. And how do we do all these things? Rishikena Rishikesham Sevana Rishikena Rishikesham Sevanam Bhakti Uchyate. That we can actually do this when we engage our senses in the service of the master of the senses. When we do these things, then we can actually transcendentalize our existence. Right now, we are stuck in this material world, and we have our body, we have our mind, we have our senses, and we need to learn how to tame our senses and how we need to tame our mind and do all these things. We need to perform these activities in order for us to be completely freed up from that which would actually bind us if we do not engage in Krishna service. It's a very simple point to understand, but it's very easily missed. We very easily miss this point of engaging our senses in the service of Krishna. The eyes, are meant to. What is this? Savai mana Krishna padara vinde, vachamsi vaikunta gunanu varnane. Does anyone know the verse number for this? It is probably ninth canto, definitely in the ninth canto, right? I can look it up. Savai manaha. Okay. Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane Karo Harer Mandira Marjanadishu Shutim Chakarya Chutasat Katodhaye. Then there's a few other verses which are Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the. Sorry, is that visible? Okay, is that better? I can just increase it just a little bit. Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temples, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples, and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of the tulsi offered to the Lord, and he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasadam. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and the temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. So this is the way to do it. That Prabhupada is hammering on this point over and over again. That all the devotees, before they give a class or before they speak, they always beg for the mercy and the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because He is a person who's completely in charge of our senses. He's a person who's completely involved with every aspect of our life beyond so much more than we can even imagine and understand. There's this word of name of Lord Vishnu and Vishnu Sahasranama, which unfortunately I'm unable to remember right now. But in this name, one of the meanings is the Supreme Lord is present in our hearts, and He knows everything about us. And He knows every thought that we have, every thought. How many thoughts that we go by? We go through them so fast. We go through so many thoughts so fast. How many of our thoughts do we even remember? Can we remember all the thoughts that we had today? What to speak of yesterday, day before, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, one year. Forget it. But Krishna knows and remembers every thought that we had. Every thought that we had. That is why it's very important to keep our mind clean. How do we keep our mind clean? We keep our mind clean by meditating upon the Supreme Person, Krishna, who is prophylactic and antiseptic, right? How do you say it? Prophylactic and antiseptic. You know that he is never affected by all the impure. Just like the sun, the example is given of the sun. The sun is shining over all places. The sun is shining over a pure place like Krishna's temple, and the sun is shining on top of impure places like that of a urinal or whatever. But the sun, he purifies the place on which he's shining. Even the pure place, he makes it even better. And even the urinal, he's shining on top of the urinal, and he purifies that place also. But he's not affected by the impurities of that place. But he at the same time, also makes this makes the place purified. So similarly, how do we purify ourselves? By meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by thinking about Him, by offering prayers to Him, by putting Him in our mind. That's why Krishna advises, what is the last verse of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? Okay, can anyone think of the basically an almost similar verse which repeats itself twice in the Bhagavad Gita? Right. Atmanam parayanaha. And bhakto madhyajimam namaskaru. Pratijane priyosame. That these are the two verses, Krishna tells Arjuna twice. Always think of me. Offer your prayers unto me. Become my devotee. Bow down to me. Bow down to me. Krishna tells this to Arjuna twice in the Bhagavad Gita. He tells him that engage your mind in always thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. 934. And then 1866. Similar. 65. What 66? Oh, okay. Of course. Okay. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus, you will come to me without fail. I promise this because you are my very dear friend. It's amazing. Krishna tells, we meditate upon Krishna. By meditating upon Krishna, all our impurities will be removed. Like we were speaking about yesterday. I wasn't able to pull up the verse. I still could, and he didn't pull up the verse either. That we see that even in the Bhagavatam, it says, even when we're inflicted by lusty desires, even when we're inflicted by all these unwanted desires, the recommendation is we meditate upon the beautiful eyebrows of Krishna. Krishna's eyebrows are really beautiful. They're really beautiful. And, when we're really suffering, we just go and we meditate upon the Lord's eyebrows. It really helps a lot. The beautiful smiling face of Krishna, Krishna's beautiful smile, Krishna's hair, it's really, really attractive. Krishna's form is transcendently attractive. It's really beautiful. Especially what to speak of Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna's lotus feet are so beautiful. By meditating upon Krishna's lotus feet, it's so good. It's a whole series of prayers that are offered meditating upon Krishna's lotus feet, because such meditation helps a lot. Helps us give complete charge to Krishna to take care of us. There's this beautiful series of prayers that that are coming to mind right now. I'm sorry, I did not prepare for this class. We see the Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Dayapareti Bhakta Priyeti Bhavaluntana Kovideti Nateti Naga Shayaneti Jaganavaseti Alapinam Pratidinam Kurumam Mukunda, where Kulashekar Alvar is praying, "Oh Mukunda, my Lord, please let me become a constant reciter." You see, this is a constant theme. It's a constant theme. Every devotee of the Lord always prays to the Lord to be empowered to speak His glories. Every devotee of the Lord does this. Everyone does this. You see, please let me become a constant reciter of your names, addressing your Sri Vallabha, one who is very dear to Lakshmi. And Varada, I really love this name of Krishna called Varada. It's this is the deity of Krishna in Kanchi. There's a really amazing temple known as Varada Raja, where he's known as Varada Raja. And why is he known as Varada Raja? Varada means, and Raja means, he's the king of the bestower of benedictions. King, Krishna is the king of the bestower. So he's known as Varada Raja. Krishna is the king of the bestowers of all benedictions, and he will fulfill our desires. He really will. But the Lord wants to see how painstaking we are in order to satisfy him. That's the secret. That's why I was a Sharanagata Kinkara Kalpatarum Tarudhikrita Dhira Vadanya Varam Varanendra Ganarpita Divya Padam Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam Varanendra Ganarpita Divya Padam. That he's the Indra. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur being a pure. Huh? No, that's verse number 4. We're quoting verse number 9. Verse number 9 of the Stavaka. There he's saying he's Varanendra. He's the Indra. He's the king of all. You're sleeping. Can you please stand up? Okay. Either you stand up or you just stand up, please. So, we see Varanendra Ganarpita Divya Padam, that the lotus feet of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, him being such a great devotee and follower of Sri Sri Radha Govinda, he can bestow boons upon all his followers. And I really like this. Sharanagata Kinkara Kalpatarum is so beautiful. Think about Sharanagata Kinkara Kalpatarum, that all the Kinkaras, Kinkara means servants, all the Kinkaras who did Sharanagati at his lotus feet. Sharanagata Kinkara Kalpatarum. For them, he is what is a Kalpataru? Desire tree. For all the people who did Sharanagati at his lotus feet, Sharanagata Kinkara Kalpatarum. He's like a desire tree. He fulfills all their desires. Varanendra Ganarpita Divya Padam. Then he is the Indra, he's the king of all the people who offer boons. Varanendra Ganarpita Divya Padam. Such is the power of his lotus feet. I eternally offer my respectful obeisances unto him. That verse number 4 is Varanada Babal Shashanda Padam. That he offers obeisance, he offers benedictions to those people who are offenseless and they have taken shelter at his lotus feet. That's verse number 4. But this is a really beautiful name for Lord Krishna, Varada. Krishna fulfills all desires, Varada Raja. Krishna really wants to fulfill all desires, but he wants to see how much we really want to try. And I had this really fantastic experience when we were in tattoo convention, the Atlanta Tattoo Convention. And the days were long. We didn't have much time to read. But, the only time I found that I could read was I kept my phone in front of me and I was taking prasad and I was reading. And then, of course, I purified the whole thing, And there, I read this really amazing verse in Prabhupada's books, which just completely, this purport. Prabhupada writes this purport, which really, this is the secret. Prabhupada revealed the secret as to how to distribute Bhagavatam sets to Westerners. And I read that purport and I started distributing Bhagavatam sets to white people. Mostly some of them are black. Well, all the usually like at least the brothers, we have like more chance of them, but the white people were like, please, I beg you. I worship the dust of your Lord. I'll walk your dog by this Bhagavatam. But this verse, when I read this, I finally I had this. Prabhupada gave the revelations to how to distribute Bhagavatam sets to Westerners. Does anyone want to know it? Anyone want to know? Yes? No? No? You don't want to get out of the room. I'm not going to teach you. This purport, I'll just go do it like this. Yeah. This is 4:24:79. Okay? Geetam Mayedam Naradevananda Parasya Pumsa Paramatmanastavam Japanta Ekagra Dyastapo Mahat Charadhvam Ante Tata Apsyate Psitam. Lord Shiva says, my dear sons of the king, the prayers I have recited to you are meant for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul. You see, this is a constant theme. We see everyone glorifies the Lord before they glorify. Everyone begs for His mercy before they glorify Him, And then I advise you to recite these prayers, which are effective as great austerities. In this way, when you are mature, your life will be successful and you will certainly achieve your desired objectives without fail. Okay? And this purport changed my life. It's one line. If you persistently engage in devotional service, certainly all our desires will be fulfilled in due course of time. We just have to be persistent. And I was you saw me. You were ahead of me. I was like, you had a good game. And then all of a sudden the Bhagavatam started flying out like that. Because I was, obstinately, I was just being really obstinate, stubborn. I was stubbornly trying my best to be the instrument and just somehow the other get these Bhagavatam sound. And and I prayed, like I read this, I'm like, oh, Krishna is Varada, Krishna is Varada, he's Varada Raja, he can offer benedictions to everyone, And I was thinking, like, oh man, like, just I was just thinking, and I flashed back to, when I started distributing books, and then how I had this desire to, like, one day, someday, if I can just do like 100 books, And on Krishna's birthday, Janmashtami, I distributed 108 Bhagavad Gitas, and that was like in New York, that was so amazing. And then the desires increased, and we were just consistently, I was just persistent. And I was just, persistently, fixing our minds upon this one activity of distributing Prabhupada's books, then our desires will really be fulfilled. We just have to have the desire. It's just one sentence, but it changed my life. If we persistently engage in devotional service, certainly all of our desires will be fulfilled in due course. We just have to hang in there. We have to hang in there. We have to hang. If we just hang in there, then we will inherit the greatest wealth. We'll inherit it. Like so many people, like Parameshwar Prabhu was saying, if they had just hung in, great mercy of Krishna is right around the corner. Mercy of Krishna is right around the corner. Do not worry. Krishna's mercy is right around the corner. For you, for everyone, for me, for everyone. Krishna's mercy is right around the corner. Don't be anxious. Don't worry. Krishna wants to please us and satisfy us more than we can imagine. Krishna will give us that benediction. He's Varada Raja. Krishna is the king of the best, bestows a boon of everything. And then, I was just thinking about, this so much. And, then there's this, and it's amazing. Prabhupada's quoting, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto, matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha, vedesha sarvair ahameva vedyaha, vedanta krit vedavit eva chaham. Krishna's quoting, Prabhupada is quoting that verse in this purport here. And I was really thinking about this then. Okay, and this verse, I thought of this purport, and then I was thinking of this verse, and Krishna gives the intelligence. Krishna really gives the intelligence, and there's this really amazing comment that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad makes, in regards to this verse. And we can look at it. Prabhupada's purport is really amazing too. So we can look at this too. So, okay, I'm going to increase the font. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart. And it is from Him that all activities are initiated. We have so many activities and we want to start performing these activities. Krishna initiates these activities. Krishna personally initiates. We tell people, you buy these books, Krishna will bless you personally. Please. Krishna initiates these activities. The living entity forgets everything about his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is a witness of all his work. And then required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. I'm looking for. Okay, there you go. This is really amazing. Prabhupada's purport to this verse is so amazing because he's saying that, Krishna is worshipable not only as the impersonal Brahman, not only as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the localized Paramatma, but also as a form of the incarnation of the Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to the people so they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasadeva is a compiler of Vedanta Sutra. So then we see this, the more Prabhupada gives a lot more, purport, not more in this purport, but I was thinking about this, and this really changed my life, and this really had such a deep impact upon my insignificant service to my bona fide spiritual master. And this is really amazing. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further explains Krishna's thoughts. These are Krishna's thoughts. He says, just as the fire of digestion is within the stomach, I am situated in the hearts of all moving and non moving beings as the principle of intelligence. Krishna is present within us as the very principle of intelligence. Krishna is there. Indeed, for me, the intelligence principle. Krishna is calling himself right now the intelligence principle. Okay, so Krishna, and this is very important for us to understand because Krishna is present as the intelligence principle, and if we simply have faith in the spiritual master in Krishna, all the imports of scripture will actually be revealed to us via this intelligence principle. We should never forget that Krishna is the intelligence principle within us. Yasya deve para bhakti yata deve tata guru tasya te katita hyata prakashante mahatmanaha. That Krishna is the intelligence principle. He is there. And the minute we have unflinching faith in Guru and Krishna, then all the imports of Shastra is revealed. Is there? You see? The intelligence principle comes remembrance of things once experienced, forgetfulness of perception born from contact of the sense of the sense objects. Having thus described how he helps living entities in a bound condition, he next states in the beginning by all the Vedas how he helps them attain liberation. So Krishna is present as the intelligence principle. He's there and he wants to see. What does he want to see? What does Krishna want to see? If we persistently engage in devotional service, certainly all our desires will be fulfilled in due course of time. Certainly. Prabhupada is guaranteeing it. Does Krishna have a choice not to fulfill Prabhupada's desire? Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashiti. What does this verse mean? Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashiti. Huh? Yes. Well, what else? Like, what's the full? That's the point. Declare boldly, O Arjuna, that my devotee never perishes. Konteya pratijanihi. You declare it. Arjuna, you declare it. Why does Krishna ask Arjuna to declare it and why doesn't he declare it himself? Yeah, sometimes Krishna may tell he may tell, he may, for example, he may tell the damsels of Vrindavan, I'll come at a certain point, and he may not come. But if the devotee tells, oh, Krishna will come for you, then Krishna has to come. Because Krishna is bound up by the love of the devotees. Krishna is bound up. He can't do anything. He's held. He's completely captured. And because he's captured by the devotee's love, then we can see that, he's bound to act. He's bound to fulfill the desire, of the devotees. So, over here he's saying this, that, anyway, I guess I lost this one. But yeah, Krishna is present within us as the intelligence principle. Krishna is there as the intelligence principle. And when Krishna sees that we are persistently engaging in devotional service and, we do not want to do anything else. Yes, I'm super duper fallen. No doubt about that. Super duper fallen. I have no hope. I have no good qualities. Jogete vichare kichuna hi pai tomara karuna sar karuna na hoile kandiya pranana rakibo ar. It's a very important verse for all of us, especially as great grandchildren or to be great grandchildren of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to know this verse, because when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was not willing to initiate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he recited this verse. He said, Yogete vichare kichuna hi pai tomara karuna sar karuna na hoile kandiya pranana rakiboar. Then, if you examine me, and this is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur saying, if you examine me, you will see that I have no good qualities. Does Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur have no good qualities? How can we even imagine, even on a mundane moral view, we can see Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's character was spotless. He was a most erudite scholar, Naishtika Brahmachari. He formed a Brahmachari ashram when he was 15 years old, where all the men, he gathered a group of men and he called it the Kumara Sangha, if I'm not getting the name wrong. And he told them, we're going to be brahmacharis for life, guys. He got all of them and said, yeah, we're going to be Naishtika Brahmacharis for life. And he was the only one who kept that vow. Can we imagine that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has no good qualities? He had photographic memory. At the age of 15, he was elected to be the chief of the astrology department of Banaras, or some really prestigious place. But he says, if you examine me, you will see that I have no good qualities. Then what to speak of us? Our bad qualities are like just like out there in the open for everyone to see. It's so bad, we don't even have to look. Oh yeah, you don't even have to look. We're so full of it, you know. But Bhakti Siddhanta, how can he? Maybe, that's inconceivable. The humility of the Vaishnavas is inconceivable. He was the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He got initiated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur into like what Bhaktivinoda Thakur initiated him into chanting the holy name, gave him the Narsimha Mother Ugram Veera Mahavishnu, gave him that mantra, gave him the Kurma Shila to worship. He's doing all these things, and he's saying, I have no good qualities. Yogate vichare kichuna hi pai. If you look at me, you'll see I have no good qualities. Tomara karuna sar. Therefore, I'm super duper or wholly, completely only dependent on your mercy and your mercy alone. I'm only dependent on your mercy. Tomara karuna sar. Karuna na hoile. If you do not give me your mercy, I will weep and just die. And he fell down, weeping and weeping, begging for the mercy of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Why? Because the devotees knows that this is the way to do it. This is the intelligence principle. Krishna is the intelligence principle in us. Who if we simply had the desire to serve him, Krishna will help us understand how we can serve him the best. There is no way that if you have a sincere desire, Krishna will not come through. Krishna always comes through. Always. Always. Even when we were suffering like anything in North Carolina at that particular, we only did like 25 Bhagavatam sets, and it was like pulling teeth. It was so hard, and it was we had so many Bhagavatams left. It was only like 45 minutes left, and finally, oh my God, the Lord came through, man. And it was so bad. It was so hot. There's no shade. It was so like this, remember New Jersey? So Krishna just comes through. Krishna comes through always. Krishna never gives you a test that you cannot pass. Know this for a fact. Krishna will never give us a test that we cannot pass. It's here. It's a perfect arrangement for Krishna for us to make advancement in our spiritual life. So I was quoting these series of verses here in the, that Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Dayapareti Bhakta Priyati Bhavaluntana Kovideti Nateti Nagashayaneti Jagannavaseti Alapinam Pratidinam Kurumam Mukunda. That, we stopped at Varada, right? Okay, addressing your names. Okay. Oh my Lord Mukunda, please let me become a constant reciter of your names, addressing you as Sri Vallabha, he who is very dear to Lakshmi. Varada, the bestower of benedictions. Dayapara, he whose causes seem merciful. Bhakta Priya, he who is very dear to the devotees. Bhavaluntana Kovida. He who is expert. This is really amazing. It's such a beautiful name of Krishna. He who is expert at plundering the status quo of repeated birth and death. It's amazing. Vinoda Kovida. Kovida means expert. Vinoda Kovida. Krishna is expert at giving bliss to his devotees. He's so expert. Krishna is very he knows how to hit the spot. Krishna knows. Plundering means to steal, but it's not just stealing, but you go all out to completely okay, if you have $100 and I stole $20 from you, that's like stealing. But if you had $100 and I took your $100 and I took your watch too, I'm plundering you. You understand? My English is not my first language, so I guess I don't have a first language. All my languages are horrible. Stupid urban Indian like me. So, Natha, the Supreme Lord, Jagannivasa, the resort of the cosmos, and Nagashayana. Oh, this is so amazing. Nagashayana, it's such a beautiful name for Krishna, Nagashayana. The Lord who lies down on the serpent bed. Such a beautiful name. And then he says, Jayati Jayati Devo Devaki Nandanoyam, Jayati Krishna Vrishivamsha Pradipaha, Jayati Jayati Megha Shamala Komalango, Jayati Prithvi Bharanasho Mukundaha. This is so beautiful. He says, all glories to this personality of Godhead who is known as the son of Srimati Devaki Devi. All glories to Lord Krishna, the brilliant light of the Vrishni dynasty. All glories to the personality of Godhead. This is so amazing. This is so beautiful. The hue of whose soft body resembles the blackish color of a new cloud. All glories to Lord Mukunda, who removes the burdens of the earth. Mukunda Murna Pranipataya Che Bhavantam Ekantam Yantamartam Avismadishtva Charanaravinде Bhave Bhave Metu Bhavat Prasadat. This is so amazing, okay? Look at this. This is, look. Avismadishtva Charanaravinде. Here, same theme. Even in this verse, we see Shukadeva Goswami is praying for the same thing. We see that Avismadishva Charanaravinде. What does that mean? Freedom from forgetfulness. Twat, your Charanaravinде, at your lotus feet. Oh, Lord Mukunda, I bow down my head to your Lordship and respectfully ask you to fulfill this one desire of mine. That in each of my future births, I will, by your Lordship's mercy, always remember and never forget your lotus feet. You know, all of them make such similar prayers. All of them. It's a common theme. Naham vande tava. Oh, this is really. Naham vande tava charanayo dvanda badvanda hetoho. Kumbi pakam gurumapi harer. Narakam napunetum. Ramya rama mridutanu lata. Mandane napirantum. Bhave bhave hridaya bhavane bhavayeyam bhavantam. This is, he says here, oh Lord Hari, it is not. Why are we worshipping Krishna? Why are we worshipping Krishna? Are we worshipping Krishna to be saved from the dualities of material existence? No. It is to be saved from the dualities. It is not to be, oh Lord Hari, it is not to be saved from the dualities of material existence or the grim tribulations of the Kumbhipaka hell that I pray to your lotus feet. Nor is my purpose to enjoy the soft-skinned, beautiful women who reside in the gardens of heaven. I pray to your lotus feet only so that I may remember you alone in the core of my heart, birth after birth. You know, this is the prayers that they make. They make these prayers. Why? So, Krishna, as the intelligence principle within us, will remind us constantly of himself. We just have to have the desire that we need to remember Krishna. We just have to have the desire to remember Krishna. And we remember Krishna by offering ourselves to Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhakti Prayachiti, that Ambhakti Pahritam Ashrami Prayatatmanaha. That whatever, I'm sorry. Just give me a minute. I wanted to. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So, Krishna says, that, if a person offers to Krishna with love and devotion certain fruits, flowers, water. Am I missing anything? Fruits, flowers, water. Patram, pushpam, leaf. Patram, right? Patram. He'll accept it. Krishna will accept it. So similarly, a devotee, if he offers his senses unto Pragraha, that is another name of Lord Vishnu, Pragraha. If we simply offer our senses unto Lord Krishna, if we simply offer our senses unto Lord Krishna, Krishna will gladly accept it. Krishna will gladly accept our senses, and he'll gladly accept to control our senses. It just requires it's like a bondage of trust between the Lord and his devotees. We see this, that Arjuna also, that Krishna is driving Arjuna's chariot, and the acharyas say that not only was Krishna controlling the chariots, the horses of Arjuna's chariot, but he was also controlling Arjuna's senses. That's what Arjuna does. He's completely offered his senses unto Krishna. That, oh Rishikesha, you please, you take charge of my senses. And how does the Lord take charge of the senses of the devotee? Via the transparent the transparent via medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent via medium through which the Lord takes complete charge of the senses of his devotees. He's he's riding. He can ride this. Partha Sarthi. He can ride your senses too. He can control your senses. He can control the horses. He can control our horses. He can control our senses. Where they go, what they do. We should simply have the desire to let him always do it. We should not try to enjoy separately from Krishna. Krishna's got control of Arjuna's mind by his instructions. Arjuna's mind is there, but Krishna controlled Arjuna's mind by his instructions. So similarly, a devotee tries his or her level best to be controlled by the Supreme Lord by taking fully to heart the instructions of the spiritual master. He lets the instructions of his spiritual master control him. And by letting the instruction of the spiritual master control him, he is giving full charge to Krishna to personally, to personally try to, to personally try to um, take charge of everything that's there. The main problem that the yogis face is that they want to control their mind, but they don't want to meditate upon Krishna. How does this work? They got their calculations wrong. That if Krishna is not in charge of our senses, how can we control it upon our own self? We cannot do it. Therefore, we always have to do yoga. Yoga means linking our senses in the service of Krishna. By doing so, we will be very happy. By giving Krishna a charge. My dear Lord, you please take charge of my senses. Please take. And you see, there must be such a close connection, with the spiritual master that just like Arjuna and Krishna, every day they're fighting the battlefield of Kurukshetra for 18 days. And every day after the battle is over, they would both walk back to their tents. Can we imagine how close their relationship should be? How close is the relationship between the charioteer and the warrior? How close is that relationship? How close? That should be the relationship of the disciple with the spiritual master. That should be the relation. There is no higher mantra than the lotus feet of the Guru. That just by by worshipping the spiritual master, just by taking the instructions of the spiritual master to our hearts, and always saying, how can I fulfill my spiritual master desire? How can I fulfill? How can I fulfill? Then just by thinking like that, then then the Krishna as the intelligence principle within all of us will take charge of our senses via our intelligence. That when a horse is being trained by a jockey, right? That's what they're called, or a horseman or a jockey. Especially before there were tanks. They were called cavalry, right? Cavalry is called like the group of your horses. Now they call it like the tanks or something, right? Cavalry. Do you all still use it in the army? That word? No. Okay. Okay. Anyway, in cavalry, you have horses, and the horse, he's very obedient to, if the same person that always trains him, if he's riding their horse, he's very obedient to him. He understands, oh, my master wants it, my master wants that. And some horses are trained to go to battle, and the horse has so much faith and submission in the master who is riding it that he is willing to charge into battle along with the master, taking full shelter of the master. He's willing to charge into the thick of the battle. How many horses were completely surrendered to Krishna? How many horses were completely surrendered to Arjuna? How many horses were surrendered to all the warriors in the battlefield of Kurukshetra? They were completely surrendered. Wherever my master wants to take me, even if it's to death, I will go with him. I will go with him. That is the surrender that the horse has to the master. So similarly, a disciple must be willing to have such unflinching faith in the orders of the spiritual master, because by doing so, Krishna will take control of our senses. Krishna will purify our senses. Everything that, all of our desires that we have, which are completely spiritual, Krishna will fulfill them. Krishna will fulfill our desire. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Arna Kori Homaneyash. We should have no other desire but to make the words of our spiritual master one with our heart. And then Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati Ye Prasade Pure Sarvash. That by developing this Rati, this so much love for the spiritual master, and love doesn't just mean I love you, Gurudev. No. Not doesn't mean Jai Gurudev and crying every now and then while you're eating your karma grains. No. It means full surrender. Before love comes surrender. There is no question of love without surrender. There's no question of love without surrender. Surrender comes first, and then love comes. We're not sahajis. We just met so many sahajis just now. All of them nonsense people, complete nonsense. There was this Mayavadi lady singing all these bogus songs. What was the song she was singing? Om Namo Padme, whatever nonsense. Sitaram. Namo Gurudev, all this nonsense. Every Mayavadi mantra you can think of, Shiva, Om Namah Shiva, all this stuff, she's singing on the guitar. Then the Sahajiyas went and invited her to come sing at their temple. This is bogus. They want to hear from Mayavadis and they also want to develop love for Krishna. Complete bogus, cheaters, But if we surrender to Srila Prabhupada, if we surrender to the instruction of Srila Prabhupada and do everything that Prabhupada wants us to do, certainly there will be love. Certainly. It's just a matter of time. Krishna, present in us as the intelligence principle, will give us everything that we need. One thing Prabhupada says is so amazing, that the senses are the instruments and the elements are the ingredients. That the senses are our instruments, The senses are instruments. We have all our senses to engage in the Lord's service. And the Ram truck is our instrument. The TSKP truck, they are the ingredients, They are the ingredients using which we can distribute Prabhupada's books. The Ram truck, the TSKP truck. All these things, these are the ingredients the Lord has given us. This temple is an ingredient given to us by the Lord to propound His glories. So the Lord is there. Krishna is there. He's willing to give us everything that we need, to go back home, back to Godhead in this life. Labdhvacha durlabham idam bahusambhavanti manushya martada manityam api hadira turnam yatetana patet anumrityu yavan nishreyasaya vishaya kalu sarvatasyat. That we've attained this human form of life after many, many births. And even when we attain human form of life, how rare is it for us to be in touch with Srila Prabhupada and his bona fide representatives? What great fortune we have. What great fortune. Don't blow it. Please don't blow it. Don't blow it. Don't think of anything else but the service of Guru and Krishna. Don't think of anything. Nothing else is worth it. This is the only thing worth giving our life to. We've given our life to so many people so many times. They've all cheated us. We've all cheated so many people too. But this time, here's a contract which has no conditions applied. Sign this contract of eternal slavery to Guru and Krishna. You will never be the loser. So in the class here, if there's any questions or comments, we can take them now. You want to turn the amplifier away? Jita Girish.
So my first question, you were quoting from this Mukunda
Mala Stotra, yeah.
Mukunda Mala Stotra. Could you please explain just a little bit what that scripture is?
So basically, Mukunda, I just said his name. No, Mukunda Alvar. Kulashekar Alvar, sorry. Kulashekar Alvar. I just said his name. Kulashekar Alvar is a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he offered he's one of the great Alvars. He's basically, before Ramanujacharya, there were 11 Alvars, and he's one of them. And he's the incarnation of the sword of the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada commented on the first 6 or 7 verses. 12 Alvars. He's one of them. And Prabhupada commented on the first 5 verses of the Mukunda Mala Stotra. First 6 verses of the Mukunda Mala Stotra. And he wanted to continue writing. Because these set of prayers, there's 54 verses that he wrote. It's like the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. My spiritual master, Guru Maharaj, there's a recording of him reciting, every verse and reading the translation. Remember in Dallas, we were listening to it together. He recites the verse and he reads the translation. And he says, this is the essence of the Bhagavatam. It says, nectar is amazing. It's so beautiful. So that's an essence of it. Yes.
Just a point. I'm reading in the 4th canto Dhruva Maharaj's pastimes now when he's leaving home, and Suniti, he advises him, and then it says in the Bhagavatam that with determination he left home, and then Narada Muni, hearing of this, he came and went to see Dhruva Maharaj. And then in the Prabhupada writes, it's like
Vishnu sends him personally.
Yeah, well, it says that Narada Muni just heard. That's
really?
later. That's
Okay.
I think that comes a little bit later, maybe that Vishnu says, okay, go again or something like that. But in that case, it just says Narada Muni heard and hears about his determination. He comes and he places his hands on the head of Dhruva.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada's rising the Prabhupada, how is it possible that Narada Muni wasn't present there? But how is it possible that Narada, because he's Trikaligya, that he is the knower of the past, present, and future, and that the spiritual master, he's like this. So when one has determination, the spiritual master gives the disciple the intelligence to carry out his determination towards Vishnu. So I was when I read that, wow, this is really amazing. And then Prabhupada in those purports, set of purports, says, when one is able to think of Krishna within the heart at all times, then everything becomes very easy to perform.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's like quite that.
That's-
Then when you do with Maharaj's
that's the goal.
determination is like really like.
Yeah. We just need to have that tenacity, you know. That no matter what, just hang in there. Krishna's mercy is right around the corner. Just hang in there and you'll get it. You'll get it. It's just a matter of time. Just hang in there. That's all. You know. That's why there's a verse in the Bhagavatam that when a person performs devotional service so much, his entire false ego is completely burnt up, even when he's in this body, and he has direct darshan of the super soul in his heart at all times. That's amazing. You know. Anything else? Lyris, let's hear it.
So in the Mukunda prayers, it also says that he wants the devotional service to remember Krishna at, birth after birth. And so many pure devotees too, they pray for that type of, benediction.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we understand that they're pure devotees, but they're also taking birth after birth? Like I thought, pure devotees don't take,
See, one thing is that we also understand that these devotees, it's almost inconceivable how someone can be so qualified and be so humble at the same time. Krishnadas Kaviraj also says that I'm lower than a vermin's stool. Anyone who hears my name, all their good fortune is lost. But is that true? No. The devotees say that out of their humility, because even Prabhupada said, as far as I'm concerned, in the science of self-realization, in choosing the spiritual master, his homage to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is there. And that he says that as far as I'm concerned, I do not have hopes of going back home, back to Godhead for at least the next crores of births. Next so many hundred thousands of births. Prabhupada says he doesn't have any hope of going back home, back to Godhead. But they say that out of their humility. They say that for us. For us. Because as far as we are concerned, I mean, if we really do not receive the special mercy of the Acharyas, how many births would we have to take in order for us to go back? So they say it like that out of their humility. But they are eternally perfect. Kulashekar Alvar is the sword of the Supreme Lord. There's no question of them being conditioned. Prabhupada is eternally perfect. No question of him being conditioned.
It's also like the devotees they're traveling, they're on the transcendental.
On the transcendental traveling Sankirtan party. So when they go on TSKP from one universe to another, finding the best Sankirtan spots, distributing the Lord's glories, then that time also we can understand like that too. Anything else? Yes, Mitravan Prabhu.
One question is not like directly related, but that song Gurudev. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote that song. Do you know who he wrote that song in relation to? Was it like Bipin Bihar Goswami, or was it Jagannath Das Babaji, or?
I mean, I need to do more research in it, but as far as I know Bhaktivinoda Thakur took shelter of Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji, as a Shiksha Guru. So we understand it like that.
Okay.
Do the mothers have a question? Anyone else? Anything online? Online? Lady Lotus, Mataji always asks questions. On-site. Better to do on-site. Better than online is offline. Okay. All right. Srimad Bhagavatam ki... You want to say something? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. They're shooting Bhagavatam.